Still today, before this day ends, I have already released what is yours. I'm not asking you to believe. I'm declaring what has already been done on this side. The blessing left my hand. It is in motion right now as you hear these words. It is crossing the distance between what was promised and what has not yet been delivered, and it is arriving at your door. The day will not end the way it began. Stay until the end of this video. Before it finishes, you will know the exact sign that the blessing has arrived, and you will understand why so many let it pass without opening. I know how you started this day. It wasn't with euphoria. It wasn't with that expectancy you had years ago when you hadn't yet been so many times surprised by emptiness. You opened your eyes early, maybe at 3 in the morning, with no apparent reason. You just woke up. The room was dark, the silence heavy in a way daytime silence never is. And the first thing your heart did, before you even fully realized where you were, was check if anything had changed. And everything was the same. That feeling you can't name precisely, that isn't sadness and isn't discouragement, but carries both inside it, settled slowly as you lay there in the dark, trying to decide if it was worth trying to sleep again. You've learned to split the experience into 2 shifts. What happens inside and what you present when you go out. During the day, you smiled. You answered with good humor when someone asked how you were. You joined the conversation as if you were fully present. No one imagined what you were carrying because you got really good at it over time. The distance between what your face communicates and what your chest carries grew little by little, and you didn't even notice exactly when that became second nature. At night, when everything quieted down and there was no more role to play, came the inventory. You don't call it that, but that's what it is. You look at what hasn't arrived yet, what was promised and didn't happen, the window that didn't open, the answer that didn't come, the movement that didn't happen. And at some point in this silent counting, done in the dark or with the phone screen lighting your face, you looked around and saw others moving forward. Friends, acquaintances, people who started in the same place as you, who had less resources or less preparation than you had. You seek, you dedicate yourself, you do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part, you start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual, with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video. People who started in the same place as you, who had less resources or less preparation than you had. And the question came without warning, without asking permission. What am I doing wrong? It's not envy you feel when that question appears. It's something heavier than that. It's the exhaustion of someone who keeps trying without understanding why the effort hasn't yet produced what it should have. It's the fatigue of a wait that has no set end date. And you've reached a point that I recognize very well. A point where you stopped expecting big things from the day. Not because you gave up completely, but because you learned through pain that when you expected a lot and the day passed empty, the impact was greater. So you lowered your expectations. You numbed the anticipation. You called it maturity, realism, balance. And you lost the ability to be open for the day when the blessing finally knocked at your door. You are still here, with all of this on your shoulders, standing. That is no small thing. Hit the like button on this video now. The like is your public amen, and heaven records what you confess openly. Before I show you what comes next, I need you to hear 3 things that are true, regardless of how you're feeling right now. Regardless of what yesterday's inventory said. Regardless of how many empty days are behind you. First, the door that stayed closed for so long was never punishment. It was never indifference. It was heaven holding the blessing until your hand stopped trembling. You are not forgotten in that wait. You are kept. There is a huge difference between those two states, and today you will understand which one describes what happened to you. Second, the protocol you will receive today will make you ready to hear the knock and open without hesitation when it comes. It's not theory. It's a real repositioning that happens inside, before anything changes outside. You will leave here with a different posture than the one you brought. Third, when this video ends, you will be able to declare, with a conviction that wasn't there when it started, that you stopped watching the door with fear and began to wait for it with peace. The difference between these two postures is everything. It's the difference between someone tense in front of the door and someone resting on the inside, ready to open when the time comes. I placed you here because this word is for you. Every morning you got up without hope and still got up, I saw. Every night when the inventory weighed heavy and you still didn't walk away from faith, I saw. That was seen. And still today, the delivery that was kept is arriving. Now I need you to do something. If you can, close your eyes for a second. If you can't close your eyes right now, look away from the screen for a moment. Take a deep breath, slowly. What I'm about to tell you now doesn't work if your attention is split between this and something else. There are signs that the blessing is approaching. They are not signs that most recognize, because most have learned to distrust precisely the things that have no immediate explanation. But you will recognize. Pay attention to each one. The first sign is a strange peace that falls over you today, with no apparent reason. You might have called it distraction, a different kind of tiredness, a calmer day with no concrete reason for being so. You might have tried to identify what changed in your schedule or your circumstances and found nothing that justified it. But it's not an external explanation you need. It's your spirit feeling the approach of what was sent before your mind has a way to name what's happening. When you can't explain why you're calmer today, when your chest is less heavy without anything concrete having changed, that's not illusion, and it's not self-deception. It's the spiritual horizon arriving before your physical eyes can see. The blessing that is coming is already close enough for your inner being to feel the temperature change. The second sign is a sudden urge to straighten up what's in disorder, to organize what was scattered, to open the windows, put things in their place, leave the space clean and ready. You might have called it sudden productivity, maybe unfocused restlessness. Maybe you just acted without being able to explain the impulse. But pay attention to what's happening beneath that movement. Your soul is preparing the space to receive what's coming. There is a wisdom that operates below the level of conscious thought, a spiritual intelligence that perceives when something is about to arrive and begins to prepare the house for the arrival. If you felt this impulse to organize today or in recent days, it wasn't chance. It wasn't productive anxiety. It was your inner self responding to the proximity of what was sent. The third sign is people, names, numbers, or memories of old doors coming back to your mind with no apparent reason. A name that appears out of nowhere while you're doing something else. The memory of an opportunity that was discarded at another time. An intuition about a place, a conversation, or a direction you had filed away. These returns are not random. They are pieces being moved by heaven in preparation for the exact moment of delivery. When I release a blessing towards someone, the path doesn't align by accident. I move what needs to be moved. The pieces that return to your mind are parts of a mechanism being positioned, and the positioning happens before the knock, not after. The next sign is the hardest to hear. It's the one I spent the most time trying to get you to notice, and it's the one the enemy spent the most time trying to get you to ignore or misinterpret. The fourth sign is the urge to lock yourself in, to not answer, to put off until tomorrow what would be for today, to lower your guard and retreat precisely on this day. This urge will come with a completely reasonable voice. It will sound like wisdom. It will say you're tired, you deserve to rest, You don't need to create expectation. It's safer not to anticipate. It will use words you yourself use when you're being sensible. And what you need to know clearly is that this urge appears with more intensity exactly when the knock is closest. The enemy doesn't waste energy yelling when the blessing is far away. He whispers with the voice of prudence when it's in the hallway, steps from your door. If you felt any of these 4 signs today, write free in the comments. This recognition matters. Close your eyes for a second. Breathe deeply. What I'm about to tell you now doesn't work if your attention is divided. There is a story that happened many centuries ago and mirrors with unusual precision what is happening with you right now. Peter was in prison. Not just any prison. He was chained, with chains on both wrists, sleeping between guards, with the cell door secured. From a human point of view, there was no way out. But while Peter was inside the prison with no way out, outside there was a group of people who hadn't given up. People who were praying for him that same night, asking for his release with enough faith to stay awake the whole night, crying out. And then it happened. An angel appeared in the cell. Not discreetly, with light. A light that entered that closed space and woke Peter without the guards noticing. The chains fell. The prison door opened by itself as Peter walked through. He was free. Peter went straight to the house where they were praying. The house was full of people who had asked for exactly that, and Peter knocked on the door. A young woman named Rhoda went to answer and recognized his voice from the other side. She was so surprised that instead of opening the door, she ran inside to tell them it was Peter, and the people who had spent the night praying for this answered, "You're crazy. It must be his spirit." The answer they prayed all night for was knocking at the door, and they almost didn't open. That's what happens when faith asks and shock blocks the arm. The blessing was there. The door was between it and the people receiving it, and the astonishment almost outweighed the opening. Now let me show you the same reality with different words. Think of a package, an important package, containing something you've been waiting for a long time. Someone sent it. The carrier processed and moved it. The delivery driver left early with that package. He took the elevator up your building, walked down the hallway, arrived at your door, stopped. The package is now sitting outside. It's already arrived. It's already traveled the whole distance. It's already climbed the last flight. It's inches from you. The anxiety of someone who waited for the package didn't change what's inside. The impatience didn't speed up the delivery or change the contents. The only thing that matters at this moment is whether you will be awake when the knock comes. The blessing that is yours has already climbed the last flight of stairs from heaven. The work that needed to be done was done. The distance was traveled. The content didn't change. What you need now isn't to run after it. It isn't to force the arrival. It's to be on the inside and open when it knocks. And the blessing that will knock at your door today is not a reward for merit. It's not a prize for whoever was more disciplined or more perfect or more deserving than another. It's the delivery of something that was always yours and was being kept until you could bear it without losing yourself in it. That's the truth about what's coming. It's not new luck. It's what is yours arriving at the time you are ready to receive and carry. Write in the comments, open, or Peter if you recognized yourself in the story. Let me stop for a full minute. You carried days that no one knew were heavy. There were mornings when the weight was present before you even got out of bed, before the first responsibility of the day arrived, and no one around you knew about it because you were silent about what really happened inside. That silence wasn't weakness. It was protection. You took care of those around you by not exposing what you carried. You stayed standing without any guarantee it would be worth it. Without external confirmation. Without tangible proof that what you were waiting for was, in fact, on its way. You continued because of a spiritual stubbornness you yourself couldn't properly name on the hardest days, but it was there, operating below the level of logic. You mistook the closed door for rejection, That's understandable. Human logic reads closed doors as negative answers. But a closed door can be protection. It can be preparation. It can be heaven holding the delivery until the moment your hand has enough strength to carry the weight of what will enter without being knocked down by it. Heaven never left your case. Even on the days you gave up checking the door. Even on the nights when the inventory got too heavy to finish. Even when you lowered your expectations and called it maturity. I never left. What you are about to hear is not a human title. It's not external recognition. It's what I call you when I speak to heaven about you. And before I show you who you are, I need you to know you have resisted until now without proof. And that resistance by itself has already qualified you for what is being delivered. You are the one who was sustained. It's not a metaphor, and it's not generic encouragement. It's a declaration of fact. I saw the days that passed over you. Days that would have knocked down people who appeared much more stable than you were at that moment. Days when the ground wasn't solid. Days when human support wasn't present where it needed to be. Days when the only thread that kept you standing was a grace that operated below the level of your conscious perception. You didn't feel that grace most of the time. It didn't come with dramatic sensation. It simply sustained what was about to give way, and you woke up the next day still standing. I saw each of those days. There wasn't one when I wasn't present, sustaining the weight before it reached the breaking point. And you are still here. What you called just surviving was strength being forged. It wasn't luck. It wasn't favorable circumstances. It wasn't that things were easy and you didn't notice. It was real resistance, built day by day inside a season that had no set end date. Stop calling yourself weak now. You are not weak. You are someone who crossed a long wait and is still standing, and that posture has a name: the one who was sustained. This authorizes one specific thing. Stop using the length of the wait as evidence that you were forgotten. The sustaining over time is proof of the opposite. You are the one who was prepared. Every door that closed in front of you, in every moment when it seemed like it was time and it wasn't, was not accident, and it was not punishment. I saw what each closing did in you. I saw what was shaped in the impossibility. What was developed in the periods when nothing visible was happening? What grew precisely because you didn't receive before the time what was being kept? Pay attention to this truth. If the blessing had arrived at any of the earlier moments when you thought it was time, you would have been crushed by the weight of what you received. Not because you were incapable, but because you were being formed to carry without getting lost. The ability to receive a blessing the size of what was prepared for you doesn't develop in passive waiting. It develops in the pressure of the weight that seemed to have no meaning. Every closed door shaped you for this. The capacity to carry the blessing without losing yourself in it, without being corrupted by it, without wasting it because you didn't have the structure to sustain it, was developed precisely in the period that seemed like nothing was happening. Start seeing yourself as ready, not as forgotten. Ready. This authorizes a change in how you read what is behind you. Every closing was formation. Every wait was preparation. And the preparation has reached the point where the delivery can happen. You are the one who will recognize. I could have sent the blessing to someone who never waited. Someone who didn't go through the cycles you went through. Who didn't know the fatigue of the long wait. Who didn't learn the difference between real hope and repeated illusion. But that person wouldn't have the ear that you developed. In the pain of the wait, in the cycles of frustration and restart, you sharpened a discernment that can't be bought and can't be learned in a classroom. You learned in practice to distinguish what is from heaven from what only sounds like it could be. You learned to feel the difference between the right voice and the noise that mimics the right voice. You learned to recognize false hope before getting hurt by it again. That learning was expensive, but it is active in you. When the blessing knocks on your door, you will recognize it. Not because it will be obvious to everyone around, but because you were forged specifically to distinguish the right knock from the noise that tries to imitate it. This authorizes you to trust your own discernment when the moment comes. That you don't ask permission to open. That you don't wait for external validation to accept what is yours. You will recognize, and you will open. Without fear, write in the comments the name of the identity that came to you today. The one who was sustained. The one who was prepared. The one who will recognize. And if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, do that now, because what will be delivered here still has more to say to you. Now I'm going to give you the protocol. Its name is the open door from within. It's not a list of positive affirmations to repeat without connection. It's not a visualization exercise disconnected from reality. It's a real repositioning that happens inside before anything changes outside. The difference between someone who watches the door with fear and someone who waits with peace is not in what's on the outside. It's in the posture of whoever is on the inside. This protocol changes the posture. Step 1. Stop everything now for a minute. A full minute without doing anything else in parallel. And say in a low voice, in an audible voice to yourself, so that you hear your own voice pronounce, I am ready to open. It might seem too simple, but it's not an automatic declaration without weight. It's you consciously leaving the posture of someone who locked up in anticipation, who closed from the inside to protect themselves before disappointment could enter, for the posture of someone who's on the inside with their hand on the doorknob. That phrase, said with real intention, repositions your interior. Don't try to understand how that works before doing it. Do it now with the voice you have before continuing. Step 2. Physically open your hands. Palms up with arms slightly open. Feel the stretch. This gesture is not symbolic in the empty sense of the word. It's the physical opposite of holding. It's the opposite of locking. It's the opposite of keeping fists clenched for protection. When you keep your hands closed for a long time, you are also closing the posture that receives. Opening the palms is the gesture of someone who unlocked, who stopped holding the door from the inside out of fear of what will arrive from the outside. Keep the palms open for a moment. Just that. Step 3. Name silently the specific fear that today will be another empty day. Don't ignore that fear. Don't pretend it's not there. Name it. Say to yourself, without judgment, what you're carrying. The fear that the blessing won't arrive. The fear that it's illusion again. The fear that you will open and find nothing. The fear of getting hurt again if you create expectation. Name whatever is true for you now, and then release it, not as resignation, not as defeat, as clearing the path. When fear is positioned between you and the door, it works as a block even when it's not loud. When you name it and release it, the path from the door to you becomes unobstructed. The sign that the protocol was received is not euphoria. It's not emotional trembling. It's a quietness that settles without apparent reason. A feeling that something internal has settled into the right place. That is confirmation. If you are receiving this protocol now, write received in the comments. In the next 72 hours, 3 things will be thrown against you. Not as a possibility, as a certainty. You need to know the name of each one now, before they arrive, so you aren't caught by surprise. The first is delay. It will come with a completely reasonable, articulate voice that will sound exactly like you sound when you're being wise. It will say, tomorrow you take care of this more calmly. Tomorrow you will be more rested. Tomorrow the conditions will be better. And what you need to understand clearly is that the blessing that knocks today doesn't carry a note saying it can wait until tomorrow. Delay is not prudent planning. It's the quietest weapon that exists against someone about to receive something that has a time to be received. When the voice of tomorrow appears today, recognize it by name before obeying. The second is last-minute noise. It will arrive exactly at the time you are most positioned. An urgent confusion that comes out of nowhere. A demand that suddenly can't wait. A situation that requires full attention precisely when you were ready and quiet. This is not a schedule coincidence. It's strategy. The specific purpose is to create enough noise so that you don't hear the knock when it happens, so that the noise around drowns out the sound that matters. When chaos appears suddenly today, stop for a second before reacting and ask, is this truly urgent? Or is it urgent because someone doesn't want me to be attentive right now? The third is disbelief disguised as prudence. This is the most dangerous of the three because it arrives with the legitimate appearance of mature wisdom. It will sound like, don't create expectations so you don't get frustrated. Don't believe too much so you don't fall again. Be realistic about what's possible. That voice is not protecting you. It is locking the door from the inside before the blessing has a chance to knock. Real prudence doesn't cancel the willingness to receive. What locks the door before it's tested is not emotional balance. It is capitulation disguised as common sense. And there is still the internal enemy, more subtle than the three from outside, harder to detect because it uses your own voice. It will appear at the exact instant you feel the blessing is near, at the moment of greatest receptivity, and will whisper, "This is for everyone, except me." I've heard that voice trying to operate over you. It chooses the most delicate moment, because it knows that if you retreat 1 inch at that time, you will retreat just before the knock. The presence of this whisper now is an indication of arrival. The enemy doesn't waste this energy on someone far from the door. He acts with more intensity when the delivery is imminent. Write "protected" in the comments. The decree is sealed. Now put your hand on your chest. Open palm over your heart. Feel it beat. This beating under your hand is the only knock you can hear clearly now because it's inside you. Learn to feel the quality of that touch. Because the knock that is coming to your door has the same quality of real thing, of living thing, of thing that exists. It is not imagination. It can be heard by whoever is paying attention and by whoever is positioned on the inside, ready to open. I want you to release 3 things now. Not in theory. Now with your hand on your chest while you hear this. Release the tiredness of waking up expecting nothing from the day. That posture of protecting the interior by closing expectation before the day begins, so the day couldn't hurt you again if it passed empty. That shield no longer needs to be active. You won't need it anymore starting today. Let that go now. Release the shame of still being in the same place. The feeling that you should have gotten further by this point. That comparison with others shows a delay that speaks badly of you. That shame is not a correct analysis of your situation. It's a wrong reading of a season that was one of preparation, not delay. Let it go. Release the fear of opening the door and finding nothing on the other side. The fear that makes you lock up from the inside before the blessing can even have a chance to enter. That fear served as protection at some point, but now it's in the way. Let it go. Now. I saw when you woke up at 3 in the morning, and the silence weighed more than anything the day had left. I was there in that dark room, not as a distant observer watching from outside. I was sustaining what was about to give way at that specific moment. Every time the silence of the early morning weighed more than sleep could bear, and you stayed anyway, I was present. I saw when you smiled in public and came home carrying what you couldn't translate into words that another person could fully understand. I was in that smile too. Not because you were pretending for me. You never had to pretend for me. But because you were taking care of those nearby, protecting the people around you from the load that was yours to carry in that season. And I saw that for what it really was. Care, responsibility, strength. I saw the nights when you did the inventory of what hadn't yet arrived. I saw when the list got longer than seemed fair. I saw when you looked around and saw others moving forward, and the question came uninvited. I was in those moments, not absent, present, and knowing what you didn't yet know about what was being kept for you and why. Every time you looked at the closed door and heard nothing, I knew what was on the outside. I knew what was being held back, what was being prepared, what was being held not because you didn't deserve it, but because the right moment hadn't yet come, and because you were still being formed to carry without losing yourself in what you would receive. The blessing that comes to you now is not a prize for whoever was most perfect. It's not a reward proportional to effort or obedience or accumulated patience. It's the delivery of something that was always yours and was being kept until you could bear it without losing yourself in it. That truth needs to appear at least 3 times in this message because it is the center of everything. What knocks at your door today is not new. It's what's yours arriving at the time you were formed to receive, from waiting to destiny, from closed door to open door, from tiredness to peace, from doubt to recognition, from someone who watched with fear to someone who waits with certainty. I send you now covered. Your mind is covered against the noise that will try to convince you that what comes is illusion. Your relationships are covered against the voices that will try to use people close to you, sometimes with good intention, to make you retreat before the time. Your timing is covered. What is for today will not slip into tomorrow without you noticing, and your door is covered from inside and outside. It will be opened when the knock comes because you are on the inside and you are ready. You are not who you were when this message began. Something has changed in here. Now say out loud before writing in the comments, not in your head. With the voice you have now, which is not the same as when this video started, say, I am ready. Still today, what's mine knocks at my door. Say it again, with the conviction that was built along this message. Say it with the voice of someone who knows who they are. Amen. Write done in the comments if this word reached you, if something you carried when you entered here was delivered before you left. And think now of one specific person, not a group, not everyone you know, one person. The name of someone who is facing a closed door now, who also spent days waiting without seeing the blessing arrive, who also learned not to expect so as not to get hurt, who also needs to know that the knock is near and that it's possible to open without fear. Send this video to that person now. Only them, because the message that reached you today didn't arrive by accident, and they also need to be on the inside when the hour strikes. The next video I prepared for you deepens what was planted here. It's waiting on this channel. Don't let it pass. It is done. What was delivered here was delivered. You are not the same person you were when this message began. You seek. You dedicate yourself. You do everything right, and yet abundance never comes. And the worst part, you start wondering if you're doing something wrong, if you're being heard up above, if it's meant for you at all. It's not a lack of faith or worthiness. It's a spiritual blockage that ordinary prayer alone cannot break. The Miracle Journal unblocks this in 21 days with a spiritual protocol that works exactly where your prayer doesn't reach. Along with the journal, you'll also receive as a gift the prayer guide and the Psalms manual with the most powerful sacred practices and texts to deepen your transformation. To claim your version of the journal, tap the link in the comments right below this video.